Right now on the Magic Palace, ladies and gentlemen, a very special treat for you. A special man who's come from Los Angeles to entertain you. And believe me, he's really going to do a terrific job of it. Would you please greet Mr. Charlie Miller?
Thank you. Well, one thing about being a magician is you never run out of money. Don't you ever believe that? And I'd like to do a very simple trick in which I use a dollar bill. I also tell a joke. Now, the joke isn't good, really, but the philosophy behind it is wonderful. The joke is, I stand before you, and I fold this dollar bill, or banknote. And the more I fold this, the more I find my money increases. The joke isn't good, as I say, but the nice part about it is, it really works because, lo and behold, it has multiplied. And this is the nice part about being a magician. The funny part is, it's all my own money. I spread these out. Isn't this beautiful? And just think. Isn't this... I usually pass this out for souvenirs, but let me see. Judging by the expressions on your faces tonight, I think I just better keep it myself. However, it does multiply, as you see. And I'm really getting 100% on this. Isn't this wonderful? That's... that, my friends, is how, as I say, a magician makes his salary. That's how a magician makes his salary. Isn't that lovely? Thank you. That, by the way, is how his assistant makes her salary. That's Mindy, my lovely assistant. I'm glad, though, she left me with my original investment. I'll just keep that for myself. You know, I'm often asked about a very popular trick nowadays. It's known as the cut and restored rope. People ask me this all the time. They say, how about that cut and restored rope, Charlie? And I say, well, the real trick is not in the rope. The real trick is in the pair of scissors that you use. You can buy a special pair of scissors, and they're invisible scissors. I have a pair here. Here they are. Aren't they cute? And that's the nice part. You can put them right there because they're invisible. Now, the first thing you want to do when you do a rope trick is you tie a knot about the center of the rope, you see, like this. This is what we call a square knot, but believe me, there's nothing square about the trick. Now, what we do is take the invisible shears like this, and I give a cut, and it drops into two pieces like this. Unfortunately, I didn't cut it about the middle, or right in the middle, as the saying goes, so I'll start this again. The idea is that I undo this knot, and since I have to make both pieces the same length, all I do is just give a little tug like this, and we now have two pieces of rope the same length. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, as I say, this is a very simple trick, and it's a very beautiful trick. You see, because the idea is that we're going to make this thing restored again. So here's what I do. I tie this in an unusual knot. It's a square knot, but it has a little ornament to it. This is known as a square knot. But believe me, there's nothing square about a magician. Some people are square, but not a magician. It's a little hard to tie, so maybe I better do the trick again. The idea is this. We start with 1, 2, 3, 4 ends. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, the idea is that, well, the trick is already over, so I think I'd better, would you like to see it once again? Well, it's very simple. It's very simple. All we have to do is do this. We find the center of the rope right down here like that. Again, we take it in this way, and we cut. Now, we now have 4 pieces. Now, the trick is very simple. We get both pieces the same length, and we tie another knot in this manner. This is what I say. This is a square knot, but it's got a little embellishment on it. Now we tie another knot. That gives us 2 pieces of rope, believe it or not, with 2 knots, like this. We now have a broken heart with 2 knots. Now, if we tug on these ends like this, we're pulling on the knots, you see, but it also pulls on the rope. Now, remember, I started with 2 pieces of rope, 2 knots, and I make an unusual design. This is an unusual design. If I wave my fingers like this, you know what happens? We get a rope with no ends at all, you see, because it becomes a circle of rope. So I take the invisible shears, and I cut, we start over again. Always start with a fresh piece of rope. That's how you understand that thoroughly. Good. Now, I'll do that once more. The trick is very simple. We find the center of the rope, which should be down here about the middle. Now, the middle is always near the center, and I cut like that, which gives us 4 pieces. And having 4 pieces, we make a peculiar design like this. Well, I think you've seen the trick enough, so that's how I do the rope. Remember, it's always in the shears. I'll put this away. Thank you. Now, you're a grand group here. You're a really, really grand group, and I'd like to do a very simple card trick at this time. It's one of the first card tricks I ever saw. Nobody has to come up for a card. They just have to simply watch. But I'd like to have somebody in the audience. How about the pretty young girl here? You don't have to get up. Just stay where you are. First of all, we'll give these a shuffle, and I'll show that they're all different. In fact, I'll shuffle them on this side, then I'll shuffle them this way. That's shuffling ambidextrously. That means taking things with both hands. Now, the cards are all different, and I want you to just say stop as the cards are being sprung in this fashion. Just say stop as they're being sprung. Stop. Whoop, I better do that again. That's rehearsal. Stop. Right there. Would you kindly remember the card? This way I don't see it, because I have to remember what the card is. I want you to think intently of the card, keep it in mind, and I'm again going to spring them in this fashion, and no matter where you say stop, there it will be at the very same card. Are you ready? Stop. Right there. There we have it right there. The two of hearts, was that right? No. The two of hearts wasn't right. No, you took the four of clubs. I can read your mind. Well, that's what I was showing you, and I just wanted everybody to be right. Thank you. That's my little card trick now, and now I'd like to tell you the story of the old Hindu silk merchant. He used to walk around the streets of Calcutta, Bombay, and Delhi, selling handkerchiefs similar to these. Mindy, would you step on the other side, please? He'd always carry the handkerchief in a special little handbag similar to the one I hear, except when he wanted to show or display them. Now, the old fellow had the most unusual manner of displaying his wares. He would take an umbrella similar to this one, to which his ribs he would attach the handkerchief. I know that sounds funny, to which his ribs. We say to its ribs, we'd say to his ribs and to her ribs. Well, I say to which's ribs, and I believe in rugged individualism. Anyway, he would have the handkerchiefs attached there, too. He would take a newspaper, something like this, wrap the umbrella therein, and he would give it to his young lady to hold. Feet together, back legs straight, front knees slightly bent, smile upon your face, hands held outward. Then he would make magic passes from the bag to the umbrella, and from the umbrella to the bag. And since he was performing in India, he would have to whistle something quite appropriate, so he would whistle. That's Indian love call. Well, believe it or not, silly as it sounds, it works, because on opening the bag, lo and behold, the handkerchiefs had vanished, the bag being, of course, empty, and in place of the handkerchief was the cover of the umbrella. But that wasn't all. No, indeed, that wasn't the most remarkable part. The most remarkable part, indeed, was on removing the umbrella from the paper, lo and behold, the handkerchiefs had attached themselves to the ribs in some mysterious manner. Well, the old fellow looked there right. The old guy looked rather ridiculous with an umbrella to which his ribs were attached handkerchiefs, so he would invariably replace it in the umbrella in this fashion. Again, give it to his young lady to hold, cautioning her to stand, feet together, back legs straight, front knees slightly together, so forth. Then he would do the trick in reverse. Remember, the umbrella cover is here, so he would do the trick in reverse, and he'd also whistle backwards. That's Indian love call backwards. Believe it or not, it worked, because on opening the bag, lo and behold, the handkerchiefs were back in their place. The bag, of course, being empty, and on removing the umbrella from the newspaper, lo and behold, there it was, completely restored, and they lived happily ever after. Thank you for being a wonderful audience. Thank you. Thank you very much.